Why, hello there, fellow fleet admirals. Rodamon here. Thank you for tuning in to Starsector Homeworld, episode 43, Threat Detected. So as you can see above my head, we are working towards becoming a paradise planet. And I had talked about this a little bit, but the way this works is we need to build a unification center and light industry. And then the process of making light industry, it's going to start upsetting Tritac. I had mentioned this before. Tritac's colony crisis event triggers when your colony exports at least 5 units of 2 different commodities. Now here's the thing. I'm not really sure we're going to be exporting 2 different commodities. Other than food, domestic goods, ore, and metals. I think organics counts. So once we start turning organics into light industry stuff, we might end up triggering Tritac's threat. We'll see. But the goal is, of course, to continue working towards a paradise world. And what that means, more or less, is we need to make buckets and buckets of money. I would also like to do the Abyssal Space Oddity. We had left that as like a hanging Chad for so long that like maybe that's the first thing I tackle. Heading over to that oddity, because I think that's reasonable now. Current fleet seems to be okay with that, so I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to check into Darad, grab the grab a little bit more fuel ships because it's a bit of a haul. So I'll take Glitch and Airdog, and then head over to investigate the oddity. A little bit more supplies, max out fuel. I do not need this many crew. There we go. Cool. All set. Alright, so the Space Oddity is a little reminder. We were asked by Alec, our patron, to go deep into the abyss to find what he was looking for. And we had found... what? Why would there be a Luddic path sleeper cell? Seems odd. I'll keep an eye on that. So we had found some indication of the oddity before, but we didn't pursue it. And, maybe this time around we'll pursue it and see what it's all about. And this is vanilla. It's worth mentioning. This event is a vanilla one, as is the Abyss stuff. This is not added in a mod. And it's from the last patch. So that's it. Thank you for the resub. And the cheer. And Omri for the resub too. So taking a look at the oddity, it is... We don't really have a good gate location, like anywhere near it. Which is why I brought the fuel ship. We have a huge gap in our gate coverage here. So while we fly over to where we know the oddity is, it would be in our best interest to hit up any systems. So maybe following these constellations, hitting up any of the systems that are like on the way there, so that we can fill in gate gaps. Ooh, that was like a perfect jump. Alright, well there's no gates and no nice worlds here. And we'll just keep hopping system to system. We have a lot of fuel, we have a lot of supplies. There's a lot of gravity wells here, holy moly. Why is there so many gravity wells and not so many planets? That is a bit confusing. It's like ghost planets. Or in this case, a lot of survey ships and stuff. Oh, well, fuel. Booster. And this is another decent way to, like, refuel for our trip back home. is to break down domain era probes and survey ships and salvage them for stuff. There is no Tusk today. Maybe she'll join us. We'll see. But, the channel point redemption reflects the fact that she's not here. Hence it being paused. At least there's treats for me, right? Cheers. So taking a look at Darid, we are 14 days away from getting light industry. And then we'll I haven't, like, I'm not 100% sure Tritac's gonna get pissed, but there's a likelihood of it, at least. So then we'll deal with the fallout, if that is the case. To the point where, like, I might even escalate it intentionally if they are gonna take a long time to care. Because I don't want to wait for, like, a year while they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna potentially attack you. I'd rather just get it over with at this point. Whoa, there's lots of stuff here. Yeah, domain probes. Tundra world, desert world, terrain, or Terran-eccentric world. And is that a mothership? Oh, yes it is. Alright, motherships are obviously guarded. These are like higher, like better enemy ships or whatever. So fielding the full fleet. And hopefully we can remove some demods and gain some experience. So here's the big old mothership. This thing is like, I don't know, like a discount starbase, if you will. It really isn't powerful at all. It just soaks up shots for your attention. So it's not something we particularly need to be concerned about. This fight is not a difficult one, I don't think. Not with the ships we've got. Especially given that my Executor's weapons are like specially geared towards destroying armor, and these guys have like no armor. They're all like naked boats, no shields. So as long as the ramparts, which are the larger like missile boat ships that they have, don't shred someone quickly, we should be just fine. Can't even hit it, it's so close. Because my two main lasers are like on the wings of the ship. It's really hard to resolve targets that close to me. But yeah, unsurprisingly, they're getting smoked. And I only really involved all of the ships of the fleet so that they could build up experience. And there it is. Claiming victory. So let's see how they did. Wow, that Dominator and Monitor... Well, Monitor doesn't ever get experience. Not a lot of experience there. But we did destroy a lot of DP worth of ships. Deployment points worth of ships. We got an Alpha Core. That's interesting. Continuous repairs did... Oh, hello. That is a heck of a find. Pristine Nanoforge. Not that we're going to use it, but like, if we needed one, getting one off of an engagement like this would be like a godsend miracle. And continuous repairs repaired what? Turtle. Special modifications. So that's my ship. The special modifications demod is removed. Sweet. I'm just gonna dump like all of the metals and organics. I don't really need them. They just take up a lot of space. And I haven't forgotten, I'm like looking for gates and just I'm trying to make use of my time sailing around, checking all the planets. So, Tundra World and Terran World. Let's check those out for ruins too. Oh, automated defense. Sure. I still technically have D-mods on my, like... I'm gonna deploy all. I still have D-mods on my own capital ship. The other thing we can consider is once we, I'm not 100% certain this is the way it works, but once we have removed all the D-mods off of ships, we can also, if the engagement isn't particularly difficult, choose not to field those ships in hopes that they then won't be included in the D-mod removal. Again, I'm not 100% sure it works like that, but if it does, that could be useful. That way we don't have to, like, refit the fleet every time we have a ship that is, like, fully S-modded and no D-mods. What were you even fighting against? Oh, there's a Zerker over there. No, there isn't. And we got data on some volcanic world, which must have hella minerals, because it was like a class 4 world. Ooh, I like that income. Alright, so light industry is now done. Meaning we have Lux goods and domestic goods that are hypothetically being exported as well. With the added light industry plus the biofactory embryo, we're going to be making a lot of money. The improvements here are probably not... I mean, we have a lot of story points, but we could increase production for either mining or light industry with the story points. The other thing that I was wondering about, and it might take a month to update, is if Tritech cares. When I came all the way over here, ooh, dang, rich, abundant, moderate, plentiful, mild climate. I mean, it is high gravity, but like, wow, those are some modifiers. So yeah, it's March 3rd in game, so maybe like April 1st we'll see if Tritech cares. It might just be that like Lux goods and domestic goods don't count against, and they're really only concerned about non-goods and ores. But actually Lux goods should piss them off. I think because I'm exporting on Darid, I'm exporting organics and Lux goods. That should upset Tritech. If I understand the mechanics correctly. Because they don't care about food, domestic goods, or metals. But Lux good and organics are not under that category. Alright, let's keep gate hopping. There's a desert world here that I could survey, but I'm just going to keep moving. So, the Abyss that we're headed to is here. And I think, despite the detour, I'm going to take this sort of curved arc to keep hitting up different solar systems. With that said, with all the domain era stuff we blew up and salvaged, we are like max fuel and like way more supplies than we left with. We have gained significant amounts of supplies than we even departed with. So the whole, like, salvage on the way there, yeah, it is no problem. I'm slightly tempted to just, like, launch myself off this red giant. I just might, to speed things up. I will check out the Terran world, though. There's also a desert world next to it. with ruins. Blueprints for stuff I already had, and that is a lot of heavy machinery that I just picked up. 500 heavy machinery? That's no small amount. And there's ruins here. Pollution. Interesting. Neutron star. Okay, neutron stars will have the gravity well to slingshot me. So once I try to dodge the, like, hell laser of this neutron star. No gates. I'll use it to sling myself over even further north. Game seems interesting? It is. Oh my god, too far. Neutron stars are a little dense. I'm actually, maybe I'll just start flying over to the space oddity. Because I flung myself a little bit too deep. And then take a look at Darid. We are, what, 1 day away from knowing if Tritac is pissed. Which I'm pretty sure they will be. Oh, and here we are in the pseudo-abyss. Alright, so taking a look at the colony threats. Really? Tritac doesn't care? Now I am just simply confused. I don't know. I feel like they should be. Upset, that is. But they're not. So, okay. So here's a nascent gravity well. We're going to drop into it and see what's up in the abyss. Your fleet approaches a derelict ship. The vessel, heavily battered, with a minimal power signature, drifts through space. The silhouette is instantly recognizable, but somehow crudely foreign. Your sensors officer begins a preliminary high-power scan of the dark mass as your operations chief preps salver teams. Sir, this looks like nothing like this on file, but Sensors gives up on words and pulls a detailed false color scan in the primary display. Someone lets out a gasp. The database assistant algorithm won't provide a positive ID, but that form is unmistakable to the human eye. This is the Onslaught Mark I, the ship of legend. How old must it be? Thousands of cycles? If you had been asked a shift ago, your reasonable reply would have been to call it a myth. The Onslaught Mark I could easily be just so founding narrative element of the human domain, a story about united struggle and hardship against an implacable other, with the shiny bit of military kit in the center stage. An imagined avatar of the Empire's holy trinity, military, industry, gate system. Yet here, that avatar appears, unbelievably far and wayward from the heart of the human domain, or even what was once the domain's frontier 1,000 cycles ago. Your ops chief, unperturbed, looks to you for confirmation. Words are unneeded. The question is clear. Send in Salvadors? Yes, of course. Ops nods. Then turns to bark commands on the Salver's command frequency. Junior officers scurry to cajole crew prepping cargo handling drones, while Sensors puts one analysis team on careful outward watch and another on the Hulk to ensure that there are no surprises. Within short minutes, the first Salvars dock their open vacuum shuttle frames and utility drones at various entry points identified along the vessel's massive hull. Ops gives the go order. You notice your comms officer furiously working their interface, then turn and call a report to you. Sir, Salver 4 is picking up something on an open frequency, radio only? Very low power, an analog encoding? We did this in training? A few more taps and the message is formed from noise, letter by letter, across your display. Threat detected. This gives your officer pause. Ops calls a hold order while the situation is assessed. Internal self-defense systems activating? War drone deployment? Only silence. Then acoustic picks up a few tapes as salvers secure themselves to bulkheads, powering down their tools and, no doubt, reaching for what small arms they do carry. Still, no movement. Low, steady EM activity, just the repeater, a chorus of them in fact, mechanically intoning the same message to one another. Threat detected. Fevered analysis proceeds. In the midst of what appears to be structured noise buried in the analog waveform, datasets which are insensible without context, and analysis teams discover a set of coordinates. A position at some distance from the small gravity well you're orbiting in archaic but parsable domain astrogation units. The message still repeats itself. The signal is weak, your sensors officer says, unlikely to be picked up by anything that isn't close order formation with the hull. Tactical telemetry to coordinate distributed systems? Cautiously, team by team, your operations chief reactivates exploration and assessment of the Hulk. Baffling crude automation is wormed through the ship, whispering to itself. Interfaces are built on familiar fundamental principles, but aesthetically redshifted, seeming from an alien culture. What records remain are damaged where they aren't missing entirely. The log tells of eons of war and the darkness between the stars. Human crew in and out of cryo, continually diminished, replaced by augmented wounded, and then cyborg rebuilds, and then, this exhausted, humming, clicking thing threaded throughout the ship. The logs are empty for long periods, dark, hibernating leaps. Then there is a noted uptick in activity less than 200 standard cycles ago. The enemy is only identified as threat. A database reference leads to blocks of information decayed by time. But the reconstruction algorithms leap into action and, despite troublingly low reliability ratings, sew together a set of files. Patch notes. The hardware specs are arcane, the software obtuse and plagued by null library calls, but the common language of human mathematics sketches out the intent. There, your technology officer team assembles a new spec of sensor modifications required to detect this threat. Adapting these requirements on your relatively modern systems is far easier task than labors described by the ancients. Sir, I'm not sure it's working, your sensors officer speaks, standing at a control console to demonstrate a first test of the adaptations. Line after line is dumped into an output log. The characters sprout and repeat. Your technology officer's face is underlit by their glow. Threat detected. Threat detected. Threat detected. I think it's working. Their words are almost a whisper. Got a long-range hit, sensor reports. Something is approaching our orbit. Without maneuvers, we have one shift, two, half a day, max. Threat detected. Alec could not have possibly known his sensor data would lead to this. You can only speculate that his patron thought there were setting you up to find using him as a front. It might be nice to find out. If you make it out of this alive, a pointed word with Alec about the identity of the patron might be in order. Your sensors officer finally suppresses the new detector's alerts, then turns to you. The Onslaught Mark I rotates threateningly in the primary display of an avatar of ancient violence. Oh boy. What are your orders, sir? They ask. Consider ship recovery. So, this is the Onslaught Mark I ancient battleship. We'll recover it. And here it is. As per our rules, we are not going to be using unique ships. But because this is part of the story, we're going to hold on to it. And what is interesting about the ship, this ship is fully automated. It does not require and cannot take on any human crew. However, this ship was automated in a fashion that does not require special expertise to maintain. That's pretty unique. Some of the techniques used are poorly understood, like dating to an earlier period. It is a heavy ballistics integration, reduces the ordnance point cost of large ballistic weapons by 10, which is super strong, and rugged construction. Reduces most negative effects of demods by 50%. If disabled or destroyed in combat, the ship has a 50% chance to avoid new demods and is almost always recoverable after battle. In addition, the supply cost to recover from deployment and to effect repairs is reduced by 50%. Essentially, the ship doesn't want to die. It does have a compromised hull, damaged weapon mounts, and glitched sensor array, but it is replete with like crazy amounts of mods. This thing is like, it doesn't even have small slots. It's like medium and large ballistic freaking everywhere. I mean, I'll just show you what it plays like. I have no idea about weapon groups, but I suppose we'll see. Unfortunately, my combat readiness was like 0, so this is going to be a bad example. Then my weapons are like offline because of the lack of combat readiness. But it is a very odd ship. And I picked it to go up against an Onslaught just as a side-by-side of what new Onslaughts look like versus this thing. It's very clearly Onslaught-y-like, but not. If that makes sense. And there we go. So, if we take a look at the Abyssal Space Oddity, go to talk to Alec. Is going to be a next step. However, there's a unidentified fleet flying at us. There's also this nameless rock here, too. Alright. Move to engage the unidentified fleet. And yeah, I mean, recovering this at like combat readiness 2% gives you a terrible example of its combat prowess. That much I know. So these are some interesting ships, which, needless to say, we really haven't seen before. If you are familiar with spoilers, you know what these kind of ships are, like, mimicking, if you will. The, like, weapon types and the like. But I'm not going to spoil it. But they're similar in design to other ships that predate the last update. Okay, I'm cutting through the hull on this one now. And we're done. Relationship with the threat reduced. Pick through the wreckage. We got a heavy mass driver design type threat. It is a 800 range anti-shield, medium ballistic. We got swarm launchers, which is a medium missile. Requires a fragment swarm hull mod and uses fragments per swarm launched. We got kinetic fragment, which is another threat type weapon, anti-shield, small missile. Voltaic discharge, which is a small point defense energy. A seeker fragment, another small general missile, and a voltaic cannon, a small suppression energy weapon. Pretty weird. All right. Time to go have a conversation with Alec about what the hell that was. And also, what is this ping? Oh, an Abyssal light. We know what those are like. Alright, let's come in and, interestingly, I might head to this nebula over here, hoping to find a gate. Because we are so far from the known gate network that finding a gate, going out of our way to find a gate, like, might make sense. Alright, we got absolutely rocked by the storm. No gates here. Do slipstorms move at all, or are they stationary? They just sort of generate on their own. So, once formed, they're stationary, but like... they do sort of evolve over time. Dang, I cannot for the life of me find a gate. Alright, now that that fleet okay, it's still gaining combat readiness. I guess I'll go east. I'm surprised I haven't found a gate yet. Darrett is doing great. Lots of credits per month. Max stability. That's awesome. And the Unification Center is 131 days away. And then Inc. is still working on towards High Command and then a Star Fortress. And that's proceeding excellently. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. And none of it is a gate. There is a desert world, but truth be told, I don't really care. I don't care about more like ruin surveys. I just want an in gate. Please let me gate home. So I'll start. I think what I'll do is come this way. So opening up our gate network, I can head towards Oberon because that's the closest gate now, and then hope to find a gate sooner. But Oberon's not, like, abnormally far now. Interesting. It's just an orange star with a massive ring. Okay. In the gate overlay, weren't there some inactive gates shown nearby? So here's the gate overlay. I don't know of a single inactive gate. So, no. If you're wondering, these circles are nebula. These aren't gates. I know they're like circular, but that's what a nebula looks like, if that's what you were confused by. There was a distress signal here. I'm gonna check it out. Just being a good Samaritan. And they should be around this gravity well, if it's not a trap. Doesn't look like a trap. Oh, looks like they died. Well, your fuel is mine. $145 crew. Rescuing them from the surface of Samurat. I wonder if that makes them samurai. Sorry, not sorry. Reminds me of like people from Phoenix are Phoenician. It's like, sure you are. Ooh, a jungle world. You don't often find those. What is going on with, like... I've easily searched, I don't know, like 20, 30 systems for no gate. It's the most gateless section of the galaxy. We also found Baba Yaga. Just don't shoot any dogs in this system, we should be fine. Wow, that was possibly the worst ruin I've ever seen in my life. There was like a nothing. It had almost nothing. Okay, well, I guess we're going all the way to Oberon because I tried everywhere else and came up dry. I still am not really... I'm in disbelief that, like, TriTech doesn't care about our exports. Let me recalculate this. So it's 5 of 2 different types. So we're obviously exporting enough organics and enough Lux goods to meet that threshold. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I guess Lux goods don't count, maybe? That's the only thing I can think of. Well, I don't know. Whatever. Where's the Terran world? Oh, I'll just fly to it. A lot of Terran worlds out here. A lot of very habitable planets. Kind of surprising. A really high ratio, I would say. The way you see it, I'm only exporting 1 organic and 3 Lux goods. I could boost those. How about I pull for that? Should I boost my exports with story points? Yay or nay? What's the cost? So here on Darad, it would cost 8 story points, and then the next one would be 16. I could afford both on light industry. Well, it would be mostly light industry. So 8. All right, let's go have a conversation with Alec. He's down in Galatia. And the military base at Inc. is done. So bring that up to high command. And that's going to help mitigate colony threat crises down to 0.5 rather than 0.7. All right, I only put this up for a minute, but we'll go with yes. So light industry, make improvements, boom. Trying to piss off TriTech is a very Complicated endeavor, apparently. Comms for Alec. Greetings, Captain Rex. Is pleased to see you as you've ever seen. I trust your expedition was a success. Please do me a favor and summarize your findings while you transmit the data you've collected. He taps to something, and your comms ping softly to notify that Alec has opened a data stream to you. First, I want to talk about what I found. It was hazardous. Alec seems to pick up on the tone of your voice. Yes? Very well. Do elaborate. He places his hands together in a well-practiced pose of attentive contemplation. You tell Alec about finding the sensor array, processing the data, and then traveling into the abyss. Alec nods along, fascinated enough only to interrupt occasionally to correct some pedantic detail or other. He goes quiet when you get to the Onslaught Mark 1, and begins shaking his head as you describe the threat. No, this is terribly unlikely, he says. The imaginings of some absurd holonovel. Which of my students put you up to this jape? My combat recordings and sensor data prove it. I'll transmit after payment. Yes, of course. Credits, always about the, he mutters to himself as he taps and swipes his datapad. Here we are, he says, raising his eyebrows at you. What I would have paid the other freelancer I hired had they returned, and promptly surrendered the data research that would be useless to anyone but me. Correct. Transferring data now. I'm not going to shake him down. Alec turns his attention to the datapad. It's coming through, he says, confirming the transmission request with a tap. Alec gives you a skeptical glare, then begins shuffling through your data. Accessing his larger holo display with his datapad. Images, charts, holo clips start appearing around him. The Onslaught Mark 1 salvers exploring. What's funny is I have an Onslaught Mark 1 just like hovering around in orbit above him. I could just point out the window and be like, yes, see that thing? That's it? But, you know, whatever. Exploring the bizarre corridors, the sensor modifications, threat detected, the words burned into your memory. He stares for a long moment with unsure expression, then quietly, consciously resettles his composure and speaks. Tried, sophomoric japery, nothing more. Or tired, sorry. Look at my fleet. The Onslaught Mark 1 is in orbit. He says nothing, motionless for several seconds, then taps his datapad. His expression is grim, then he sets his datapad deliberately onto his desk. Is it your imagination, or is his hands trembling? A holofeed hack, nothing more, he insists. It's trivial to fake. With resources and time, it's nothing at all. We're done here, Captain. Alec's eyes wander around his office as if searching for an escape. Good day, sir. He catches you with a desperate look before hitting the cutoff. Okay. Thank you for tuning in to Starsector Homeworld, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, rodamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, rodamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow admirals.